Hi, my name's Scott. I'm a mountain bike stage racer, and this is Stu.
Howdy.
This year we got together to do the Cape Epic in South Africa in March, one of the hardest mountain bike stage races in the world. It's an 8-day stage race held down in South Africa, and it's about a total of 650 kilometers this year. So it's one of the shorter distance races they've done. When I did it 10 years ago, it was over 900, but it's a little bit more intense this year because of the single track that they had. But of course there's still all the climbing and all the big descents as well.
It's pretty surprising how much climbing you get to do. People kind of don't quite get a full sense of how tough some of the days are, because you really are in the middle of nowhere. You're pretty much out in the bush. We were lucky enough to organise that. We got Momsen to support us, and I was really chuffed with the fact that, you know, it's a South African brand, and I had not a lot of background with Momsen, so I didn't know quite what to expect from the bike. But everyone had told me that if you don't have a full sus, you're gonna suffer. You're just gonna really suffer at Cape Epic. A few things like, you know, the 1x11 setup, I was like, I don't know what size ratios to run or anything like that, but I'm gonna take it from them that they know how to set up this marathon bike. So it was, here's your bike and go race.
Where most bikes are coming in at 100 mil on the back end, you know, these guys have gone down to 80 mil. You kind of think, oh, is that kind of a back step? But it was just absolutely perfect for that sort of marathon stage racing, really.
It just feels like a bike that's kind of being considered. I think they've taken a lot of feedback from their riders that race out there, and you know, trying to take that on board, but then go with proven parts. So it's, you know, Shimano throughout, Fox 32 on the front.
Stan's wheel set as well, which, you know, a good, reliable, tough wheel set. Simple things with the bike, like all the external cables, you know, for brake and gear. So if you've got a problem, it's a 5-minute job. There's no faffing with trying to thread things through the frame.
You're not exactly like close to towns and things, so we were running pretty standard parts that most people had spares. So we changed a couple of things on the bike just to set it up so that we felt a little more at home. And I know, Scott, you're pretty set with your position. I mean, you did a few changes on the bike, even just the lockout lever.
I put it kind of upside down, back to front compared to most people. You know, I run the rotor cranks and rotor chain rings as well, which is a very personal thing for me. I find that they really work really well.
The bikes come standard with V tires.
Yeah.
I have always raced Maxxis Icons, so I felt like I was doing a bit of a disservice to the bike, but I just thought, partially that's my superstition. I know how to set them up, I know what they're capable of. But then, Scott, you stuck with
I stuck with them, yeah. I had a 2.2 rail on the front, but I put a 2.2 rail tracker on the rear, just a little bit bigger than the tyre it came with. Tyres were tough, you know, they lasted the 8 days without any problems. So
I got a lot of get out of jails as well, because some of the wagon tracks, you're going down, you can't see anything. And the bike just sort of ushered me along nicely. So it sort of would pop out of little areas where I could hit things really hard, and you know, there was no dramas. So you get more confidence as well. So I was in love with my bike by the end.
So the bike just handles superbly down as well, you know, as well as the climbing. You know, through some of those switchback single track, it's just absolutely superb. The Cape Epic starts with a prologue, 26 kilometers around Mirandale Wine Estate. And you start on a start ramp, so for that moment there, you feel like a proper pro. All the crowds there are cheering you, and you just got that, you know, the start straight in front of you.
I think the thing we hadn't counted on in the Cape use, they obviously get loads of wind, and we were hammered. I think most of the riders felt this wind as we left Mirandale, but it was such a cool start. You know, it was that 20 Ks, bang, you're in it, you feel like it's on, you're racing now.
And it's just getting used to riding in really kind of in dust.
Dust again,
opposed to mud.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that kind of grip, so every corner you're coming down that switchback. I mean, I think that's why he took a tumble, wasn't it? Just a back tire just goes out. And
you know, I didn't even remember SA being that dusty, but we would literally go out, you can't see a thing. You'd have, out of every start, you've got the helicopter flying around, so you feel completely, you know, out of your depth. You've got pros in front of you, lunatics behind you, dust everywhere, you can't see anything, and you go into these trails like you just hit the single track straight away.
Well, it's just those first few moments early in the morning where you've got the sunshine right in your eyes, you've got this haze of dust everywhere. Sometimes you're literally riding blind for a few seconds where you just couldn't see a thing.
If you're not familiar with the Epic, you're racing with your partner, and your partner's got to be there constantly. He's got to be there within 2 minutes of you through every checkpoint, and you are thankful for your partner, but there's always going to be challenges. So, you know, for us it was pacing. Scott was really strong on the climbs, so I was having to just get pulled, pushed, coerced, shouted at, whatever, to get going. And I think that was part of any of these stage races, is you have to kind of understand when to relent and when to kind of, you know, give the person what they need.
Now, a lot of people don't like being pushed, don't like being helped, but it's a stage race, you got to ride together. We knew how to ride together without having actually ridden together before. So you see some teams just almost sort of
imploding,
fall apart, don't they?
Yeah, and it goes right through the ranks. Even some of the pro teams look like they've crossed the line, go their separate ways. And, you know, but sometimes you just need to do that. I mean, we gave each other enough room after stages where you just got to sort your bike. You got to know all these little, like, what do you call it? It's like rituals, eh?
Yeah.
You got to have your rituals afterwards. We get through a watering point, and all I have in my head is the commentator going, "You really are in the middle of nowhere now," and my free hub goes. So we literally in the sticks, and it's just a case of, you know, try not to panic, but how the hell are we going to sort this out? So that was hard. That was a real come down, and I think it gave us a real sense of how hard the race can be. You don't have spares on hand. You really have to improvise. You have to kind of just keep your wits about you. And so I relied heavily on Scott to do that for me.
It was just that moment where you just literally kind of first few seconds are like, free up, body's gone, we need a wheel. So I kind of agreed that I'd kind of ride on to the next point where we'd find locals, people, whatever. And you kind of ask the question to which you're going to think, nah, someone's not going to have anything. Anybody got a wheel? And one of these guys just said, yeah, I'll get back to my house and go get you guys a spare wheel if you want. And he just like, brilliant. So this guy gets back on his four-wheel drive, goes back to his house, 2k down the road, gets his bike, take him to Stu, he's back on the road. You couldn't have asked for any more help, you know.
So you get to about day 6, and there's a feeling in the camp that just changes. I think everyone feels like we've kind of gotten over the worst of it, even though there's still a lot to go. But there's sort of an excitement or a determination that, like, you just feel it. It's also kind of sad because you know it's coming to an end, and you're going to have to go back to reality at some point.
You just want a nice clear run for 2 days, no mishaps, hopefully nothing's going to break, no errant branches are going to jump up and snap anything off. And
we had wind, and we basically get into little bunches in the race, and that bunch is kind of flying through feed stops, and you're thinking, you know, Scott, water, no, go, let's just keep banging, and you just, you know, you turn into a lunatic. You know that you've only got, you know, sort of, I don't know, like say 50k left to go, and you're just going completely nuts to get there. And you know, we weren't going to relent and lose a position, but we also sort of had to stay aware of all the things that could happen. You know, you're on these farm tracks that are just gravel hell highways.
Despite our kind of mechanical issues, we came back in one piece, but obviously for some people, they're not so lucky, are they, really?
Yeah, and it just takes a walk around the camp and you get a sense of who's lost their partner. They said there's a pretty high attrition rate through that race anyway, so guys have lost partners, guys have had terminal bike failures. You feel so lucky. You just think like, well, we got you. We're in one piece. You sort of can't believe it. You spend so long getting ready for it that when something goes wrong, it feels like the end of the world. It really does. It's a race of kind of big contrasts, I think. Elation, disappointment, you know, failure, achievement, it's all there.
And that's why we do the stage racing, you know, it's just, you just go through that every day almost and get to the end, and just amazing feeling.
Yeah.